Well, it's the end of August now, and hello Lola. I just thought it would be a good time just to give you a quick look around the polytunnel and see what's going well and maybe not what's not going so well. I also have some seedlings here that I'm going to plant out. If you keep an eye on the channel, I'm going to plant these out in a separate video. We'll do a little short on that. But for now, let's myself and Lola will have a quick look around the polytunnel. So these plants here, this is broccoli Calabrese, and this full bed here, so all these plants here, they were just some seedlings that I had left over from planting outside, and I was going to put them on the compost heap, to be honest. They were looking really sorry for themselves, but I put them in here about a month ago, and look at that now. They really are looking fantastic, looking really healthy. And that's one point I suppose I'd make about cabbage family or brassica seedlings, is that not that you'd want to, but you really can't torture them and they'll sit in their cells. They'll just stop growing. And then when you plant them out, they'll just take off. So it's one plant that really doesn't care at all about being pot bound. It'll just wait until conditions are better and away it goes again. So this Calabrese, because it was quite late put in, and as I said, it's the end of August now, it probably won't form heads before the winter. Might do, but I don't think so. But I have done this before and ended up getting really nice broccoli in the polytunnel kind of end of February, sort of mid-March at the time, as far as I remember. So using that as an overwintering crop. It's also worth remembering that any of your brassica families there, members of the brassica family, even if you didn't get heads from them, of course the leaves are edible, and it could give you some really welcome greens over the winter. We have cauliflower here. This variety here is all year round. Again, not expecting a head before the winter. It's not technically a biennial cauliflower, so there are biennial varieties. So Owlsmere would be a good example. And the idea with the biennials is you sow those in late summer, they do overwinter, and then you get an early cauliflower head, usually in kind of April time. We'll see whether this will do it. I'm not quite sure. I'll report back. But again, we are going to get plenty of leaf from it. And I bet you this will work, actually. We'll see what happens. And then this kale was really looking half dead. It was a couple of tiny little leaves. Again, I put that in and away it goes. And that's going to give me loads of leaves then over the winter. So really pleased with that. Lola, you're going to have to get down now. So we've also got our cucumber. You've seen this in a different video. This is Isnik. It's a kind of a mini cucumber variety. Really happy with it. It's the first year that we grew it. And we get these lovely, these would be about as big as they get. So a nice, quite fat fruit there. What I like about these and any cucumber really that you're growing yourself is you just get a much better, juicier cucumber than your shop varieties. Just really good cucumber flavor, great crunch. And the flavor is mostly because our cucumbers obviously are grown in soil, whereas pretty much any cucumber that you buy in the shops is going to be grown usually in what you call straw bale technology, and it's just like a straw bale or anything that can absorb water, and they're grown in a nutrient solution. They're not grown in soil at all. And as we know from winemaking, the flavor of the soil comes through into the grape. Can't remember what it's called. I think it might be terroir or something like that. The minerals in the soil do affect the flavor of your crops, and that's why homegrown stuff tastes better, and particularly with cucumbers. The only problem we had with these is too many of them. This one here is Pissandra then. It's a larger fruited variety, but we've had so many so far that we've been making cucumber pickle, which I must show you how to do for the last 2 months. We've probably got about a 5-year supply at this stage. We've also got some peppers coming on here. These are jalapenos. These were put in quite late. We will get usable chilies from them by the end of the season, and I'm going to be pickling those probably. I prefer them when they're left green for pickling because they have more bite to them and they have a little bit more of a tart flavor, which works better. Of course, your chilies, as they ripen, as they go from orange through to red, they get sweeter, and also hotter, but they don't have that bite that the less mature ones so it depends how you want to taste them. So now we have this aubergine, which I don't think I showed you before. So this one is jewel marble. So look at those beautiful purple and white colored fruits. That's about the largest that they're going to get when they're usable. Once they get bigger and they start forming their seeds, then you don't really want to use them. But these plants have been absolutely fantastic, so I'd highly recommend them. It's a patio variety, so it's one that you can grow in a pot, and it's perfect for our short summers here in Ireland. So done really well. Carrots then, so these were sown on June the 14th. And the idea here is that they will be ready in October, November time, and then they can just sit in these beds over the winter and I can just take them as I need them. And then also the advantage of growing in the polytunnel is you don't suffer so much from carrot root fly, which is a really common disease that pest that you're almost certainly going to get outside. So I don't need to cover this crop really. What else? Okay, so this is our courgette and squash bed, and actually these are just flowers that came up from last year. I had a bed of cut flowers, and this is cosmos, and it is crest orange, and it's just a beautiful bright orange. So they've come up really as weeds, I suppose, from seeds that dropped last year, but they just look so cool. Look at that. Look at the color of those. They're fantastic. Highly recommend those. I'm crazy about cosmos. If you check out our channel, you'll see a video showing all the varieties that I grow, and really superb. But anyway, back to the squash then. So what we can see here is the plants are dying back, and that's perfectly natural for this time of year. In the polytunnel, it's going to be early September once you start seeing this. When you're growing outside, maybe a little bit later. But we do have fruit here ready to harvest. I'll just nip around here. So we can see here, this is squash uchichi curry. And I'm seeing a little bit of rot there around the neck. So even though that's not massive, I do want to harvest it. And just a little tip, when you are harvesting squash, instead of cutting the neck, you're better off cutting either side of the vine, and we leave that little T section there on the top. And I don't know, not so much with this one because it has started to get a little bit soft, but that should dry out now, and then that squash will keep nicely over the winter. You can see down here actually we've got some larger ones. So really nice. The uchichi curry, it's a really nutty flavored squash. I think one of the best flavors of your winter squash, and of course an absolutely beautiful color. Look at that. Oh yeah, we've also got here while we're here. So these are vegetable spaghetti. Nice size one. So that's obviously has kind of spaghetti like strands inside. We have some watermelons here. I showed you in a previous video then the success we had with our mini melons. That's Minnesota midget. Really super. So loads going on. But what we want to do now is, like with these beds, I want to get these cleared out because I want to put in some winter crops. I'm going to be putting garlic in here. I'm going to be putting in overwintering onions. You can see here we've already cleared a bed. This was our melon bed. We have loads of life left in our tomatoes, but of course they will be coming to an end in October because once we get the first frosts, then that's going to kill off the plants. So I mentioned it in another video, but we've actually cut all the tops off these plants, and that's a process called stopping. And the idea there is to give the roots, the fruits, as much time as possible to ripen. And that's by stopping the plants growing new fruits. So we're just concentrating all the energy into ripening these lovely fruits. What you can also start doing is, if you haven't been doing it already, is removing leaves from the plant, or any of the spent trusses which don't have tomatoes on it anymore. There's no point in the plant putting energy into that. And then also by removing leaves, we can allow the fruit that are further down the vine, we can get as much sunlight as possible into the plant to ripen the fruit. You can see here actually This rope, this plant actually collapsed under the weight of all these tomatoes, so I had to tie it up again, so it's just a little bit of extra support. What else can I tell you about these? Nothing really. Just if you look at the leaves there, you can see that they're starting to die off. Again, that's nothing to worry about. It's just natural at this time of the year. But you can see some really super fruits. Okay, I think that's about it for now. I'm conscious that I tend to ramble on a little bit in these videos. I do hope you enjoyed it and there was something there that you find interesting. In the next couple of days, we're going to be posting one on putting our seedlings into the polytunnel, and I'm also going to be talking about drying some beans for storage over the winter. So stay tuned, and thank you so much for watching.